Okay, good morning all of you. Any questions from yesterday's class? So let's get started. You need to keep your IS 456 available with you, okay? And yesterday we looked at this limit state of collapse under torsion, and we noted that this equivalent shear needs to be computed, making use of whatever additional moment that is coming, torsional moment that is coming on the member. And then subsequently, we can make use of this equivalent shear to calculate nominal shear, and that is how we need to proceed. And for this, taking care of this torsion, in addition to this additional stirrups, you need to provide longitudinal reinforcement as well. So you need to convert the torsional moment applied into an equivalent bending moment. And making use of this relation, you can calculate the contribution from the torsional moment. And then you find the equivalent bending moment. And using this equivalent bending moment, you calculate area of steel required as you do, as you already did for this reinforced concrete sections reinforced on the tension side. Okay. So this gives you the total amount of reinforcement that you need to provide. And after this, you need to make a check whether this MT, the numerical value of MT is greater than MU. If that is so, then you find the difference between MT and MU. And that is denoted with ME2. And for this moment, you need to calculate the reinforcement required, and that reinforcement you need to provide on the compression side. This is how you will be providing the longitudinal reinforcement. And now coming to the shear reinforcement. After calculating equivalent shear, you calculate, making use of that, you can calculate nominal shear stress. And also for the given grade of concrete, given grade of steel, you can make use of table 19 of IS 456 or SP16, the relation that is given under section 4 of SP16. You can make use of it and find the design shear strength, and then you compare nominal shear stress with design shear strength. And as you proceeded for the shear reinforcement earlier, you need to do those checks whether let me go here, whether nominal shear stress is exceeding design shear strength. Then you need to provide shear reinforcement. And before that, you need to check whether nominal shear stress is exceeding tau C max given in table 20. And if it is exceeding, then you need to redo the design. And if it is equivalent nominal shear stress is less than, here, the values of this tau V is nothing but equivalent shear nominal shear stress shall not exceed tau C max. that you need to ensure that, otherwise you need to revise your design, changing the dimensions of the section and other things. And once tau v is not exceeding tau c max, then you find the difference between tau v and tau c, and for that you need to provide the reinforcement. And how do you calculate the reinforcement? That is given here. Two-legged closed hoops enclosing the corner longitudinal bars shall have an area of cross section given by this. So making use of this relation, please note that by the time you come to for this calculation of transverse reinforcement, you will be knowing the dimensions of the section, and also you will be knowing the longitudinal reinforcement and other things. So there are some geometric dimensions that are required here. That is B1 D1. B1 is nothing but center to center distance between corner bars in the direction of width, and D1 is nothing but center to center distance between corners bars in the direction of depth. So by the time you come here, since you know the dimensions of the section and longitudinal reinforcement, you should be able to calculate what is this B1 D1, and rest of the things are all this Fy is depends on the grade of steel that you plan to provide, and SV is the spacing of the stirrups that you need to decide. That you need to decide a reasonable value of spacing of the stirrups, and based on that you can arrive at the area of the transverse reinforcement, and that area of transverse reinforcement, this ASV shall not be less than this. This check also you need to make. And even earlier, I actually overlooked to emphasize that even for the stirrups and other things what we discussed earlier, for shear reinforcement, okay, because of direct shear alone, you need to make sure you satisfy the minimum requirement of shear reinforcement. So when you are solving your assignment, you please check whatever shear reinforcement you get, whether it is satisfying this equation or not. If it is not satisfying, you need to provide this much minimum shear reinforcement. Okay? You please make an attempt to the assignment problem, and if you have any questions or anything like that, we can discuss. And now, coming to, in addition to this, in addition to all whatever we have seen under limit state of collapse under torsion, we need to make sure that whatever reinforcement we provide also satisfies these clauses, which are given in page 48 of IS 456. Distribution of torsion reinforcement. When a member is designed for torsion, torsion reinforcement shall be provided as below. Transverse reinforcement for torsion shall be rectangular closed stirrups placed perpendicular to the axis of member, similar to the shear reinforcement for direct shear. Spacing of these stirrups shall not exceed the least of x1 plus y1 divided by 4 and 300 mm, where x1, y1 respectively short and long dimensions of this stirrup. Please see the difference between x1 and x2, x1, y1 and b1, d1. b1, d1 are to the center of the longitudinal reinforcement that you provided, whereas x1, x2, x1, y1 are to the outer dimension, outer dimension of the stirrups. X1, Y1 are respectively short and long dimensions of stirrup. Okay, so your spacing of the stirrup shall not exceed the least out of these, x1 plus y1 divided by 4 or 300 mm. And also there is some minimum requirement for longitudinal reinforcement. Let's go through that as well. Longitudinal reinforcement shall be placed as close as possible, as close as is practicable to the corners of the cross section, and in all cases there shall be at least one longitudinal bar in each corner of the ties. Each corner you should have one longitudinal bar. When cross-sectional dimensions of the member exceeds 450 mm, usually if the depth exceeds 450 mm or even width exceeds 450 mm, additional longitudinal bars shall be provided to satisfy requirements of minimum reinforcement. Anyway, when the dimension increases, your cross-sectional area of the member also increases. Then when you check this minimum shear reinforcement, obviously you may need to increase the area of steel. So that is what is mentioned here. Okay, we need to also keep these points in mind when we are giving the final prescription. Anyway, let's go and see this limit state of collapse under torsion, and let's look at some numerical examples. And please note that in the numerical examples that I'm going to show you, please note that they are for illustration purpose, in the sense how to make use of this whatever is given in this section, that is 41 of IS 456. But when you are actually designing, you are going to design the entire member or the entire structure in which this flexural member is going to be part of it. So at that time you need to look in the overall sense. You cannot isolate simply designing for flexure and then for shear and then for torsion. It's not like that. You need to look, you need to combine all these things. Okay, that you need to keep in mind. And when we are actually demonstrating in examples and other things, we assume some values, torsional moment, some value, and we will see, or we will illustrate how to proceed with designing for the torsion. But in reality, this torsional moment you need to calculate depending on the eccentricity of the load with respect to the CG of the member. Okay, it's not that it's going to be given by somebody else. And such kind of thing you may need to do when you are solving your last problem of the latest assignment. In assignment 6, latest assignment, let me show you that. You need to do that calculation and you need to find the torsional moment here. Assignment 6, last problem, a cantilever slab projecting 1.6 meters beyond the face of beam of rectangular cross section. Okay, this is nothing but 500 is effective. That's why effective. That's why it's written 500 mm effective. Carries a uniformly distributed superimposed service load of this much, 380. I don't know whether I will cross check this and then get back to you. Just give me a time. Okay, if there is a correction on this, I will send you by email. Okay. Anyways, imposed load is given, uniformly distributed imposed load is given. Please note that this load is given per unit area. So you need to see what is the area of the slab, that is projecting. Width of the slab that is projecting beyond the face of the beam is 1.6 meters. And what about the length of the slab? That we will see whether that is given here. Okay, the slab has thickness of 125 mm with 10 mm diameter mild steel bars at 100 mm center to center spacing. And anyway, this is description of the slab reinforcement, and determine the development length required for the steel from the face of the support. Anyway, please note that the deadline for this problem is given, for this assignment is given as 26th October, but you attempt the problems and then if required, we'll extend this due date, okay? So don't worry about it. Anyway, I think the point I want to make, it is not given in this problem, but the thing is, looking at the description here, the point I want to make, I will convey that if the cantilever slab projection is given to you, if the length of the slab is known, you need to calculate the eccentricity of the load, the resultant load that is acting on the cantilever slab from the CG of the supporting beam, and then you need to find the torsional moment. A load multiplied by the lever arm is going to give you torsional moment. Okay. Anyway, that is not applicable here. I think by mistake I tried to refer to this. Anyway, you attempt up to problem 4 of assignment 6. Okay. Anyway, let me go back to this examples which I intend to show you in today's class. So here, let's go through this, and then you please take a note of the key points in your notebook. Okay, let's go through this. A cantilever canopy is made up of monolithically constructed beam. The slab is constructed in a monolithic manner with the beam, so they are going to act together. The beam span is 8 meters with cantilever slab of 4 meters. I hope you are able to visualize what it means. Otherwise, let me explain that with a figure. This is what you can look at the first figure. So this is your beam, and a cantilever slab is projecting from the beam. Okay, so you can just take a note of this figure and then look at the description of the problem there. So this is the slab, cantilever slab, which is casted in a monolithic manner with the beam, so they are casted together, and this is the rectangular beam. Okay, so this is what you need to visualize. A cantilever canopy is made up of monolithically constructed beam of 8 meters span. 8 meter span is in the out of board. Let me go back and show you this. 8 meter span is whatever is coming out of the board, that is 8 meters. And cantilever slab span is this direction. This is the cantilever slab span, and whereas span of the beam is whatever is coming out of the board. Beam cross section is given 400 mm and 1200 mm deep, 400 mm width, wide, and 1200 mm deep, and live load on the slab is given. Determine the torsion and shear due to live load for which beam should be designed. Anyway, I unnecessarily refer to that problem 5 of assignment 6, which is related to development length and other things which we have not covered. Anyway, whatever I intend to explain, that is going to be illustrated in this example. Okay, so make a note of this, the key points from this problem. Span of the beam 8 meters, cantilever slab span is 4 meters, cross section of beam is given, live load on the cantilever slab is given. Now, based on this, please note that cantilever slab is projecting from the face of the rectangular beam. So whatever load you are applying on the cantilever slab is going to be acting eccentric with respect to the CG of the beam. So that's going to result in torsion. What kind of torsion is that? It's going to be equilibrium torsion, okay, or primary torsion. So with this information, I hope you have noted. So you can calculate the total load on the cantilever slab. Span of the beam is 4 meters. Cantilever slab span of the beam is 8 meters. Slab is this cantilever slab span is 4 meters. So 8 multiplied by 4 is going to be the total area of your cantilever portion, and on that, this much 1.5 kilonewton per meter unit weight, or the load acting per square meter, it is given. So you can easily calculate what is the equivalent load, and then what is the eccentricity. What is the eccentricity of this load? It's going to act at the center of cantilever portion, and you need to calculate what is the distance from the center of cantilever to the CG of the beam. So that is going to give you lever arm. So then the total equivalent load multiplied by lever arm is going to give you torsional moment. So let's see the workout here. So live load on the beam. Okay, please note that this is actually this load being acting at an eccentricity is going to result in torsional moment, but this load is this total load is going to be carried by the cantilever, this beam. Total load is going to be carried by the beam, so a direct shear is going to also be there. That shear is half of the reaction. This is going to be, you please take a note of it, okay? Live load on the beam. Live load on the beam is the intensity of load that is acting on the cantilever slab multiplied by span of the cantilever. That gives you load per meter run of the beam. And assuming beam to be simply supported, shear is going to be, this is load per meter run. So total length of the beam is 8 meters. So 6 multiplied by 8, half of it is going to be the maximum shear at each of the supports. So that is what is calculated. Please take a note of it. This example is illustrating how to calculate direct shear as well as torsional moment. Okay. So now design torsion or the torsional moment. Torsion per meter length of beam. Torsion per meter length of beam is given by 1.5 is the intensity of the load, and cantilever span is 4 meters. Okay, cantilever span is 4 meters. And please note that this cantilever span means it is from the face of the beam. So eccentricity is cantilever slab span 4 meters means it is from the CG. Here there is no information given. So in this calculation, it is assumed that this span is from the CG of the beam. That's the reason the eccentricity is taken as 0.5 times 4. 0.5 times 4. So that is going to be your lever arm. So this is the intensity of the load. This is for intensity of the load per meter run multiplied by lever arm. So that is going to give you torsional moment per meter run. Is it clear?
I just want to add here, the problem, it states only due to live load. That's why the self weight of the slab we are not including in the calculation of the torsion. But
yes,
in reality, that self weight of the beam should also be considered.
Yes, that is, please note that this problem is for illustration purpose. So here only live load is used for calculation, and in reality you need to include your self weight as well. Okay. Any questions here? So here this eccentricity is calculated assuming the cantilever span is with respect to the CG of the beam. If it is not so, then you need to add here plus, you need to add plus half of the width of the beam. You please think about it, okay? So this is the torsion per meter length of the beam. And please note that this torsion, what is going to be the total torsion? This is per meter length of beam. So 8 meters is the span of the beam. And at each support, what is going to be the reaction? Because of this torsional moment, half of it is going to be the reaction. So this is the torsional moment per meter run multiplied by span of the beam 8 meters. Half of it is going to be the reaction because of this torsional moment at each of the support. So that is what is calculated. Please note that whatever we are going to calculate, shear is going to be maximum near the supports. So we are considering a section which is close to the support. So at that location, we need to find what is the shear, the shear due to this the shear stress due to direct shear, as well as shear stress due to torsional moment. So we are making note of both of this. So this is going to be your VU as per, if you want to use notations as given in IS 456, this is your VU, this is your TU, and making use of this VU and TU, you can find what is the equivalent shear. What is the equivalent shear force? Is it clear? And where this relation is coming, it is given in IS 456 under limit state of collapse under torsion. Is it clear? The key point you need to pay attention is this one: how to calculate torsional moment. Once the description, or even suppose you are asked to estimate capacity of a beam or something like that, a real beam, existing beam, then you need to watch all these things. What is the span of the beam projecting from the face of the span of the slab projecting from the face of the beam, and then what is going to be the eccentricity? All that you need to estimate based on the real conditions. Okay. Any questions here? So this example illustrates this application of this equation to calculate equivalent shear, estimating TU and VU based on the conditions of the beam and the slab. Okay. Any questions? Professor Amlan, you want to add something? Okay, so let's proceed further. Example 2.
Yeah, after the examples are over, then I may comment. See, there is one important point here. See, in this example, the equivalent moment was not calculated.
Yeah.
In case if the equivalent moment is calculated, please note it will be the moment at the support and not at the span. Where we are designing for torsion, we have to look the moment at that location.
Okay. Anyway, this example, I think there is a print mistake here. It's an RC girder having rectangular section. Width is 500 mm, overall depth is 1000 mm. At a particular section, factored values of bending and torsional moments are given, and ultimate shear force at the section is given. Analyze the design moment and shear for which beam has to be designed. Basically, whatever Professor Amlan just mentioned, calculating the equivalent bending moment. That will be illustrated here. Anyway, here the details are given. The section dimensions are given. Anyway, I just mentioned this is a print mistake here. Okay, this is not that circular word you can strike out.
No, I think the circular is referring to the geometry plan. That it is like a canopy beam.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe sorry. Then let me go and show you that what Professor Amlan is mentioning. So this kind of thing. So this is like a part of circle. So beam having this kind of geometry in plan, whereas the cross section is rectangular. Okay, so here the dimensions of the beam are given. So from which you can find what is B. B is 500 mm, capital D. Please note that in all our equivalent shear, equivalent bending moment, we are making use of overall depth. So that overall depth is given. And then torsional moment and bending moment values are given. And also shear value is given. Based on this, you need to find what is the equivalent shear and what is the equivalent bending moment you need to design this beam for. So that is what is illustrated here. You can go through it. It's all self-explanatory. And cross-check. Please cross-check these numerical values while going through this workout. Okay. And here ME1 is calculated. Notation, whatever is given in code, that notation is used. ME1. Equivalent bending moment and equivalent shear force. And
So
also,
I wish to add, see, the equivalent bending moment will be of the same sense as that of the original moment. See, the original moment is hogging, then the equivalent moment will also be hogging. Please be careful about that. Okay.
and also you need to once while calculating this, you need to keep a watch on the numerical value of MT and MU. And based on that, if required, you need to calculate ME2 for based on which you need to provide reinforcement on the compression phase. And anyway, here the magnitude, the contribute, this is MU. MU magnitude is 150, MT is 53. So MT is less than MU. So there is no need of calculating ME2. Okay. And also keep in mind whatever a point that Professor Amlan made in the what kind of moment is this? Is going to be is it hogging or sagging moment? Is going to be same as whatever original moment MU is. Okay. So let's see another example. Please note that these examples are framed in such a way that they give you a slow transition, or it's a part of learning process. Okay, slowly they are going to introduce you to various points that are mentioned in the code. So let's go through this. Determine the design torsional resistance. This is like an analysis problem. Determine design torsional resistance of reinforced concrete beam of rectangular section using the following data. Beam is reinforced with FE 415 HYSD bars and adopt 450 IS 456 2000 codal provisions or code provisions. So this is the data that is given. Already beam is existing. Whatever is provided, what kind of reinforcement is provided, and how much amount of reinforcement is provided, all that description is given to you. You need to estimate its torsional resistance. B is given. Please take a note of this. Okay. B is given, overall depth is given, and B1 D1 is nothing but to the center of the B1 is distance to the center, center to center between the longitudinal bars that are provided in each of the corners in the width direction. This is B1 is in the width direction, D1 is in the depth direction. And stirrups, whatever reinforcement, shear reinforcement that is provided, that is given here. 2 times 79. 79 corresponds to what diameter of rebar? 79 corresponds to what diameter of rebar? You need to work it out, or if you really want what kind of rebar, you equate the 79 to pi d square divided by 4 and back calculate d. That gives you an idea about what is the diameter. Okay. Anyway, that directly that information is given. So you need to estimate the torsional resistance of this section. So we'll see how to proceed. Basically, we'll be making use of this relation. We'll be making use of this relation. Okay. And please note that in the description of the problem, the shear reinforcement that is transverse reinforcement description that is provided in the beam is given, and you are asked to estimate the torsional resistance of the beam. It's not mentioned whether any direct shear is applied or not. So actually we can make use of this relation and then back calculate what is TU. Okay, what is TU, and then assuming VU is equal to 0. So that is how it's going to be proceeded in this problem. So torsional resistance, that equation, whatever equation is given in the code, assuming VU is equal to 0, rearrange it. Okay, here that is what is mentioned. According to IS 456-2000 code, considering shear torsion interaction, that whatever equation, that equation is nothing but shear torsion interaction equation with VU is equal to 0, which corresponds to, anyway, this description at this stage you don't need to pay attention to, because yesterday Professor Amlan was mentioning space truss technology and analogy. This based on this only this theory is developed, but we are not going in detail on that. This space truss analogy. So forget about this description. Just look at that equation is taken with VU is equal to 0 and TU is calculated. And please note that this is going to be the torsional resistance of this given section when there is no direct shear. If there is a direct shear, then this is going to come down. Okay. Another example. This is also analysis. Okay. And in the previous example, the direct shear is assumed to be 0. Let's see here it's not. So let's see this example. Reinforced concrete beam, rectangular section, width 350 mm, overall depth 700 mm. Beam is reinforced with 2 bars. Beam is reinforced with 2 bars of 25 mm diameter on both on tension and compression faces. So based on this information, and also effective cover is also given 50 mm. Based on this information, whatever description that is given, should be able to calculate what is B1 and D1. Side covers are 25 mm. 10 mm diameter, 2-leg stirrups are provided at 100 mm center to center space. Section of the section is subjected to factored shear force of 200 kilonewtons. Fe415 steel is used. Estimate torsional resistance using this. Okay. So basically, we'll be whatever equation that I just showed you, same equation we are going to be using, this one. And the whatever description that is given with the covers and other things, that is all to calculate this B1, D1. Spacing of reinforcement is given, grade of steel is given. So you should be able to estimate what is Fy, SV, all these things, and Vu is given. And what is whatever this total ASV, two-legged stirrups, 10 mm diameter, that information is given. So ASV is given. So you should be able to estimate what is its torsional resistance. So that is what is illustrated here, and you can go through it. And what I suggest is you please check for the numerical. If there is any mistake in the numerical part, you please correct it. Okay. Any questions here? Two cases are solved here. Two cases are solved. Please note that even though it is mentioned, a section is subjected to factored shear force of 200 kilonewtons. Even though this information is given, if suppose the beam is simply supported case, shear force is going to be 0, direct shear is going to be 0 at the center, and it's going to be maximum at the supports. So two cases are solved here. One taking Vu is equal to 0. What is the torsional resistance? Or basically torsional strength. Or when you calculate whatever Tu here, that's actually going to reflect maximum torsion this beam can take. So that is nothing but your torsional strength or torsional resistance. When shear force is 0, direct shear is 0. When direct shear is 200 kilonewtons, what is the torsional resistance? And both are calculated. Anyway, the reason why it is calculated is you can assume it to be at the center, and this is at the support. Obviously, whatever is there at the support is going to govern. So this is the torsional strength of this beam. Okay, you go through this and check for the numerical values. Few more examples we'll go through, and then so that you should be able to, with all that, you should be able to attempt your assignment. So let's go through this quickly. Reinforced concrete, rectangular beam, width is 400 mm, effective depth 800 mm, factored shear 120 kilonewton at a particular section, and grade of concrete is given, grade of steel is given, percentage of tensile steel is mentioned here. At that particular section, whichever section you are looking at that point, at that section, a percentage of tensile steel is given. Based on this, you should be able to estimate your design shear strength. Design shear strength either from table 19 or from section table 19 of IS 456 or section 4 of SP 16. You should be able to estimate design shear strength. And here it is asked, determine the torsional moment at the section. Torsional moment, the section can resist for the following cases. If no additional reinforcement for torsion is provided, if maximum steel for torsion is provided in the section, no additional reinforcement is provided, and maximum steel for torsion is provided. And how do we get, what is the maximum shear stress that is allowed? Maximum shear stress that is allowed in a particular section. How do we get that? Based on table 20. Table 20 is giving you tau C max. Tau C max is going to depend on the grade of concrete. So once grade of concrete is fixed, what is the maximum shear stress that is permitted is, in a way, it is given. Making use of table 20, you should be able to read it. That is tau C max. So here basically that is what we'll be using for second case. Okay. So now with this description, what is given here? Width of this section is given, effective depth is given, factored shear force is given, and grade of concrete, grade of steel is given. First, we need to calculate design shear strength, and then based on the shear force, that is given, we should be able to calculate what is the nominal shear, you can calculate what is nominal shear stress, and then you compare nominal shear stress with design shear stress, and then you see if nominal shear stress is less than design shear stress, then what is the amount of shear that can be applied and other things. Based on that, you can check if additional if no additional reinforcement for torsion is provided, what is its torsional resistance. Let's go through that. Okay. So data that is given, section details, grade of concrete, grade of steel, based on the percentage of tensile steel, grade of concrete, tau c max is, this design shear strength is actually noted. Design shear strength is noted, and allowable shear, allowable torsion. Here, please note that this is equivalent shear, which is given in IS 456. Okay, and the shear, this one. Just now we noted that design shear strength is 0.49 Newton per mm square. So this equivalent shear force, using that you calculate nominal shear stress and then equate it to this value 0.49, and then you know what is the shear force at this section. Factored shear force 120 kilonewtons. So making use of this relation, you should be able to calculate what is the torsion that you can apply, torsional moment you can apply. So T can be calculated in this manner. And this is for the case if no additional reinforcement for torsion is provided, and if maximum reinforcement is provided. Here you need to keep in mind, even if you provide maximum reinforcement, design this shear stress that is permitted in a section is going to depend on the grade of concrete, which is given in table 20. What is the maximum permitted shear stress? So even if you provide maximum reinforcement, your shear stress cannot be exceeded beyond what is given in table 20. So that is the reason why this is given here, to illustrate how to make use of the information that is given in table 20. So that is what is illustrated here. So tau c max is read from this table 20, and making use of this tau c max, the torsional moment that can be applied is calculated. Any questions here? So let's go further. Here in this particular example, rectangular beam, width is 300 mm, overall depth 800 mm, reinforced with 4 bars of 20 mm diameter on tension side at an effective depth of 750 mm. Section is subjected to ultimate moment. Section is subjected to ultimate moment of 215 kilonewton meter. Grade of concrete is given, grade of steel is given. Estimate ultimate torsional moment that can be allowed on the section. Okay. Here, please note that description is given, And here, the details of the reinforcement, tension reinforcement that is provided is given. So based on this, you should be able to estimate. You should be able to estimate its moment carrying capacity of the section. And out of that, it's subjected to some ultimate moment of 215 kilonewton meter. You can assume this to be the bending moment due to transverse load. So from the total capacity of the section, deducting this, whatever is left out, that can be considered as torsional moment that can be applied on this section. So that is how this is illustrated here in this example. We'll see the details. And before that, please note that even if you provide this reinforcement, to use appropriate relation to calculate its moment carrying capacity of this section or moment of resistance of this section, we need to know whether it is under reinforced or over reinforced. For that, we require to know what is limiting moment of resistance. So that also we'll be seeing in this example. Okay. So here, based on the information description that is given in the problem statement, instead of limiting moment of resistance, XU max is once the grade of steel is fixed, you can go to your page 70 of IS 456 and find what is XU max, limiting neutral axis depth. For the given section, you find what is the neutral axis depth, making use of the relations that are given in Annexure G of IS 456. And then you compare actual neutral axis depth with limiting neutral axis depth. Then you know whether the section is under reinforced or over reinforced. And why this information is required? I need to pick appropriate relation for calculating the moment of resistance of the section. So it is under reinforced here. So this is the moment of resistance. So I can make use of this and find its moment of resistance. And please note that this is the you can consider, because torsion is also applied, you can consider this to be equivalent bending moment, and you can back calculate your torsional moment that you can apply. So this is how it can be worked out, this problem. Okay. And this example you can go through yourself. Reinforced concrete section subjected to torsional moment of 2.5 kilonewton meter and transverse shear of 60 kilonewtons. Grade of concrete is given, grade of steel is given, determine the reinforcement. So all the information is given. So you can make use of whatever the procedure that is given. You find the equivalent shear, equivalent bending moment. Okay. And then to calculate the reinforcement, since the equivalent bending moment is ME is equal to 4.41 kilonewton meter, design the longitudinal. So this one, for equivalent bending moment, longitudinal reinforcement is designed, assuming the beam to be under reinforced. Okay. So here it is how that is the assumption is made, that is given. Section is under reinforced in the steel requirement to resist the small moment will be less than the beam. So steel requirement is calculated using equivalent bending moment. And also please note that IS 456 is giving what is the minimum longitudinal reinforcement that you provide, that you need to provide. So whatever steel reinforcement that you get, you need to also check whether that is greater than the minimum reinforcement that you provide or not. If it is not, then you need to provide at least minimum reinforcement. Here, that is what is done. So actually the reinforcement is calculated, and here whatever is mentioned here in this statement, that is based on this. Whatever steel that you are getting is less than the minimum reinforcement requirement, so provide this minimum reinforcement, and that is the reason the section is assumed to be under reinforced. Okay, so this is the longitudinal reinforcement, and then transverse reinforcements. To calculate transverse reinforcement, once you get longitudinal reinforcement, you can calculate design shear strength, and also make a note of what is the maximum shear, the shear stress that is permitted. You make a note of it. Based on that, you can actually design the transverse reinforcement. Here, when you are designing transverse reinforcement, either you can assume some diameter of the bars, okay, and then arrive at the spacing, or you can fix the spacing of the bars and arrive at the cross-sectional area. Either way you can do. Here it is assumed 8 mm diameter bars, 2-legged stirrups, and side cover is assumed to be 25 mm. Why this side cover? Because we need to calculate B1, D1. So you can go through all that. Okay, and whatever reinforcement that you get here has to be at least, it shall not be less than whatever is given in the code. Whatever is given in the code, it shall not be less than this value. So please go through this. Okay, and 2 more examples are there, and also here how to make use, how if you want to solve this problem, making use of table 62, 63 of SP16, how to do that, that is illustrated. You can go through it. It's all self-explanatory. And 2 more examples are also given. This is all based on SP16. Okay. 2 more examples are also given. You can go through them. Okay, with whatever explanation that I have given. It's all self-explanatory. You can make use of whatever the relations that are given in IS 456 and get the values, and then cross-check with, if possible, cross-check them with SP16. Okay. You can go through this. It's all straightforward. And 1 more example is there. 9 examples total. Please note that you can check whether a section is under reinforced or over reinforced by comparing the applied moment with limiting moment of resistance, or by comparing neutral axis depth, actual neutral axis depth with limiting neutral axis depth. Depending on whichever is applicable. Here in this case, this moment is compared with limiting moment of resistance. Okay, you can go through it, and I'm going to stop here. Okay, any questions? Anyway, this is based on SP16. So with this, what I suggest is you attempt your assignment 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5th problem is on development, and that will be covering in the next class on Tuesday. Professor Amlan, you want to add something?
See, the detailing, there is another aspect, like if the dimensions of the beam is greater than 450 mm, then you need to provide some side face reinforcement. Now, this is important for the design for torsion. Just keep a note that not only bars at the corner, but bars around the perimeter of the beam also need to be provided if the beam size becomes large. Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Nobody is responding. I hope you are following the lecture. Okay, so let's meet on Tuesday, 27th.